Hi, I'm Paul Wilson, and welcome to The Royal Road to Card Magic, a complete course on card magic on one DVD set based on a classic book that I learned the most from as a beginner when I wanted to become a card magician. This set will help you grow from beginner to expert if you follow it from the beginning to the end without skipping forward, practicing everything that you see and everything that you read, and learning with the tricks that we teach you how to perform for the public and how to use what you've learned to its maximum potential. One of the advantages of having this information on DVD is you can use it as your own private instructor. You have the book. Open at the first chapter and try and learn about the overhand shuffle. Learn how the move works. Learn how to jog the card and control cards with the shuffle. By doing that, you'll make mistakes. It's natural. You're a beginner. But by referring to the DVD, you can see exactly where you went wrong. But by using the book and the DVD together, I guarantee you will learn more quickly. You will understand much better than if you just watched the DVD. Take my word for it. The DVD, in conjunction with the book, will be very, very rewarding to anybody who's serious about learning card magic. You'll also get an opportunity to see all of the tricks performed. Now, I don't perform every single trick in the book, but I do perform what I consider to be the best ones. I have left a couple out. If you read the book, you'll find a few gems in there. Not many. Most of them are on the DVD. A couple of the tricks are simply not very good tricks, and I'm not talking many. This is an excellent course, and it's collected some excellent material. Think of yourself as a young boy walking through an antique store. All of that cool stuff. Sure, it looks nice, but you don't really know a great deal about it. 40 years later, with all the experience that you've learned in life, and perhaps as a collector of antiques, that same antique store suddenly is the Aladdin's cave. Everything is so much more wonderful because you know so much more about it. Card magic is like that. The more you learn about it, the more you appreciate how it is thought out. Remember, there's a rich history to card magic. Many people have contributed great thinking to this craft. People like Di Vernon, Charlie Miller, Fawcett Ross, Dr. Jacob Daly, John Scarney. These names may not be familiar to you now, but they contributed a great deal to this book. Now, a lot of people are not credited who should be. A lot of the tricks that you're reading should have names beside them to tell you who invented them. You'll learn a little bit more about card magic as you follow this course because I've invited some of the greatest magicians in the world, people I consider to be the best minds in the subject, to give their thoughts. And you'll read many of these thoughts as you follow the course. Now, the way we've presented this is very simple. I've gone through the book myself. I've performed the sleights, and then I've performed the tricks in exactly the way that they're laid out in Hugh Garden-Browie's book. If you follow this course from beginning to end, you'll gradually build a steady and strong repertoire of card sleights and material. Each chapter uses the material and methods that have already been taught, so you won't find a move that you haven't learned yet in any of the sections. But each chapter also contains a self-working card trick, one that uses no moves whatsoever. So by learning that and performing it for your friends, you can get an idea about how you would perform card magic and how you would present it. So in other words, the heat is off. All you have to do is go through the method and make it sell. In other words, make them see the effect, not how the effect is done. Once you've completed the Royal Road, you'll realize there are many thousands of books that will teach you more card magic. At the end of the course, I'll be giving you my own recommendations for you to continue with. Until then, pick up your deck of cards, open up that book at the first chapter, and let's start with the overhand shuffle. The most important place to begin is how to overhand shuffle the cards. Now, the overhand shuffle looks like this. Now, we'll begin with a fair shuffle, and I'll show you how to hold the cards with each hand. Now, each hand is as important as the other. So, beginning with the right hand, you're going to hold the cards by the outer and inner short ends. These are the short ends here. So, I hold them like this, fingers at this end away from me, and the thumb at the end closest to me. And the deck is held not flat on like this, but at an angle a little bit. So it's easy to take cards off of this packet with the left hand. Now, cards are going to be taken with the left thumb. So as I draw down like this, the thumb will contact these cards and draw them into the left hand. How the cards arrive in the left hand is incredibly important. So to show you how that works, take the deck and lay the deck on the two middle fingers of the left hand, like this, just the long edge. Don't let go. Now relax the outer first finger of the left hand around the outer short end of the deck, like this. So you see how that hugs that short end. Now the long end will be supported by these two fingers. And the finger will curl in towards the palm like this to support the back of the deck, like that. Now if I let go of the deck now, you can see it's well cradled by the left hand. Now packets will be taken a group at a time, say 4 or 5 cards at a time, by the thumb, which comes up not to the face, but to the edge of the deck, like this, the upper edge of the deck in the right hand. So as I come to here, the thumb contacts that edge and just draws off a packet of cards. The packet then relaxes into the left hand. I go again. Now it's actually the action of taking the deck upwards with the right hand that makes the cards fall into the left hand. The thumb doesn't really do very much of this. It simply contacts here and holds the packet. So at speed, you see the packets are taken into the left hand continuously. I'll do it again. Again, I'm holding the deck like this, slightly at an angle to make it easy for the thumb. I come down, relax around the packet, draw off that first packet, and continue drawing off cards until the deck is exhausted. So now, with the deck resting in the left hand, we're ready to begin the shuffle. So to begin, we're going to lift up the lower half of the cards with the right hand, using the grip previously discussed. Now, when I say the lower half, I'm referring to the half away from the thumb. So this half would be the top half, this would be the lower half. I lift these up, holding that portion as discussed. Now, an important point is not to hold it square against the palm, but to bevel it slightly. So when you lift it, you want it to be at a slight angle. That'll make it easier for this thumb to draw cards into the left hand, onto the original packet. So as I lift up like this, I come down, and the thumb, the left thumb, will raise up to contact the upper edge of the deck, the long edge, and draw cards off as I lift up the hand. I come down again and repeat. It's important that the thumb isn't drawing cards down like this so much as supporting the cards as the right hand raises up, this way, until the packet is exhausted. One more time. We start here like this. The thumb comes up to support that half as the packet is raised. Notice that it's at an angle. I come down and repeat drawing off small packets until the deck is exhausted. So now we know how to overhand shuffle the cards. We're going to learn the first move, which is how to control the top card using the overhand shuffle. So we begin with the ace of spades on top of the deck. And we shuffle the cards. And we have complete control of the ace of spades. Now to make this clear, we're going to use a slightly different card, a blue-backed ace of spades. So we begin by preparing the deck for an overhand shuffle, like so. We take the deck, and instead of lifting up half the deck, we're going to begin by lifting up the whole deck, except for the top card, the card against the thumb. So the thumb applies a little bit of pressure, so as the right hand raises up like this, the first card is taken directly to the very bottom of the deck. And we continue shuffling until the deck is exhausted. We tap the deck, like so. This ensures a nice neat edge here. And as we take the deck again at the outer edges, we square those two, like so. And again we continue as before, but we do not retain any cards. We lift the entire deck, including the ace of spades on the bottom. So as I shuffle, I continue shuffling, but this time I ensure that I end on the last card, which is the ace of spades, which is now returned to the top, like so. Practice this at speed until you can do it without looking at your hands, like so. Looking at the audience, discussing anything you like about the trick, and you have complete control of the top card. Now we're going to learn how to control the bottom card of the deck, which in this case is, again, the ace of spades. So we shuffle, nice and neat, and we're controlling the ace of spades again on the bottom of the deck. In this case, the ace of spades will never move from the bottom because these fingers of the left hand, the tips, will press against that face card as I lift up the cards at the beginning. And here I begin by drawing a packet off of the left-hand cards. So I come here like this. The thumb pulls a packet into the left hand as the right hand raises up like this. And that card remains in place as the shuffle continues. So again, I draw up, retaining the ace of spades, and continue shuffling until the deck is exhausted. It's a very simple, very effective way of controlling a card. To make it really clear, we'll leave the Queen of Hearts face up, and we'll shuffle at speed. So we shuffle the cards, we shuffle again, until we get down to the very last card. So the Queen of Hearts is back on top, and the Ace of Spades is still on the bottom. Now we're going to learn how to run cards one at a time. The run works like this. Normally you shuffle cards this way, taking packets by raising your thumb up to the edge. Instead of doing this, put your thumb slightly short of the edge and draw off one card at a time from the right-hand packet onto the left-hand packet, like this. This is very simple to do. The idea, of course, is to do this with the same timing as you would for a normal shuffle, like this. So one more time, the thumb goes to here and drags cards off one at a time, making sure the timing is exactly the same as a normal shuffle. The next lesson is one of the most important in the Royal Road to Card Magic. It's going to be used throughout the book. It's called the in-jog, and it works like this. During a shuffle, I'm going to mark a position in the deck which I can later cut to. To do that, the right hand comes down onto the left as for a normal overhand shuffle. I'm going to run a single card with one difference. Instead of running it square onto this packet in the left hand, I'm going to bring the right hand towards myself for about ½ an inch, and then draw off the next card. This card then comes down against the tip of the left pinky and is jogged towards me. This is the in-jog, like so. As I continue shuffling, I now shuffle square with the balance of the deck, like so, and pat the deck to square that end, like so. You now see there is a card protruding from the inner short edge of the deck. To cut to that, we use the undercut. The undercut looks like this. I approach as if to do another overhand shuffle. The thumb is going to grip the inner short end, the fingers the outer short end, but I'm only going to cut the deck once, like so. Before I cut the deck, the thumb will press onto the jogged card, pushing it square. It's also going to push it upwards slightly too, like so. Notice that opens up a break underneath the jogged card. So the jogged card is now the lower card of this upper portion. I now cut at the break and throw on top, like so. So again, I shuffle, in-jog, and shuffle off. I square, and I push upwards with the thumb to open a break. And then I cut at that jog. I usually bring my thumb to here to aid in the cut, and throw on top. So at speed, I shuffle, in-jog, shuffle off, cut, and it's complete. Another very good way of controlling a card to the top is called a double undercut. It works like this. We have a break above our selection, like so. When we're ready to control it to the top, we're going to simply cut it straight to the top like this. But rather than cut directly at the break, we make two cuts. To do that, we take the break over with the right thumb, and instead of cutting at the break, we cut below the break and cut that to the top, like so. And then we cut at the break and bring that to the top. So again, from here, we cut half of the cards below the break, and then all of the cards below the break to bring that card to the top. At full time, it simply looks like this. And the card is on top. Now we've learned how to shuffle the cards, how to run cards one at a time, how to in-jog one of those cards, and cut to the in-jog. We're ready to control our first card. It's going to be the blue-backed ace of spades. Let's imagine this is a selection. To control this, begin shuffling the cards fairly and stop around about the middle of the deck. At this point, you're going to invite someone to return the card to this position, like so. Okay? Once the card has been returned, you're going to continue shuffling, beginning with an in-jog, like so. And then shuffle off. Now to control it to the top, we push up at the in-jog, we cut and throw on top. And their card has now been controlled to the top. So again, we shuffle off. We stop around about the middle. This card is placed into this portion for us. In-jog, throw on top, like that. At full speed, it would look like this. Shuffle, in-jog, undercut, and the card is controlled. Retaining top stock means to keep a group of cards on top of the deck during a shuffle. Let's imagine we're going to use the four aces. I'll leave these face up for you to follow. Now as I shuffle the cards, the idea is to make sure I don't disturb my top stock. You can see that the aces are still on top. This is actually very simple to do. Undercut about half of the deck. So you lift up the lower half of the pack with the right hand, ready for the overhand shuffle. As you do that, you're going to begin by in-jogging a card. So the first is a single card, in-jogged above the aces. And I continue shuffling until these cards are finished. At this point, I have my in-jog. I press up, I undercut, and throw on top. And the four aces remain in place. One more time. I undercut. Now at this point you want to make sure that you undercut beneath your stack. So your stack could actually be quite large, technically. Undercut, in-jog, shuffle off, and cut. So at speed, like this, I can very easily control any group of cards on top of the deck. The following technique will allow you to shuffle the cards without disturbing the order of a single card in the deck. It works like this. Shuffle the cards, and the deck is in its original order. To do this, you undercut about half of the deck and run 5 cards onto the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are now thrown on top, but the entire block is stepped towards me, like this. I throw on top, I push up and get a break, undercut, and then shuffle 5 more cards. These are the original 5 I just reversed, and I'm reversing them back into their own order. 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I can throw on top fairly. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, step, pick up the break, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and throw on top. So at speed, while you're talking, this seems like a perfectly fair shuffle, but doesn't disturb the deck at all. Now a good way to begin is always make sure the cards are ready to perform. Everyone relaxed?
let's just make sure. It's a normal pack of cards. Hopefully all the cards are there. And what I'll do is we're going to turn them over, but one half onto the other. So you'll see what I mean. Let's take the top half, like this. And if I turn this over and put it on the back of my hand, like that, it's a little bit difficult. And put the other half on top, like this. Now the two halves are facing each other. See? One half facing this way, one half facing that way. Just like that. Let's take a card out from somewhere. Let's say this one here. We'll just wave it over the pack. Snap our fingers. And I think this pack is ready to perform.
So now we come to the very first trick in the book, topsy-turvy cards. This just happens to be an excellent way to introduce any performance of card magic. You begin with a deck, it can be shuffled. And we're now ready to begin. What I've done is secretly reversed the bottom card of the deck, which actually began on top of the deck. Let me show you how that works. This happens before anything technically begins. You simply take the cards out of the box, make sure they're all here, and you're set, ready to go. The move seems to be very dangerous, but if you try this in a mirror, you'll realize it's actually very well covered. Run through the deck, and just separate off that back card, the one that's actually on top of the deck, like this. And as you close up, you need to get a little break like this. Just lower it just a little bit. So when you close the deck, that card is a little lower in your hand. This will make what's about to happen very easy. Okay? Nobody's really concentrating on what you do yet. Reach forward, take the deck, and turn it face down, end over end, like so. This card will remain in this hand, and will now become the bottom card of the deck, but is reversed, facing upwards, like so. The card is here. I'll do it one more time. The card is pulled down. The deck is turned over onto the card, like so. And we're ready. So we're now about to use this card reversed on the bottom of the deck in a very clever way. We lift up the top half, and I'm going to turn it face up. When I turn it face up, it's going to go in the back of this hand, balanced, which is a precarious position. And we use that situation to reverse this packet. Now, because of that card that we set earlier, the audience will believe that this packet is also face down. So this packet goes here. Now we carefully take this packet and place it on top, like so. Okay? And the reason we're taking care is because we're balancing a packet on our hand. Of course, we also want to make sure that we don't expose this situation, like so. Now we square this up very slowly, and the audience believes that the packets are now faced, half facing this way and half facing this way, when of course the whole deck is really facing one way with one reversed card. So we show the deck several times, turning it over and over. And we want to make sure we end with the deck face down and a reversed card face up. At this point, we take one card and we use it like a magic wand. So we're apparently removing only one card from the reverse portion on the bottom. I wave it over here and I flip it face down on top. Now I can spread through the cards and show the entire deck has righted itself, like so. And there's one little point I'd like to add if you want to try a different way of making that initial reverse. Di Vernon, who revolutionized card magic in the early half of the 20th century, was once sitting in a magic castle with a friend of mine called Jim Patton. And Jim was practicing the move. And Vernon observed that it might be better to get your break like this, leaving a card down jogged, and turn the deck not this way, but this way. I leave it up to you to decide which one you prefer.
You play cards?
A little bit.
For money?
Never.
Want to try?
No.
Let's see. cut the cards into 4 piles. Okay, and you can cut anywhere you like. Just make sure you make 4 piles.
Sure.
Like this. It's 1. It's 2. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's take a random number, a small one, like 3. Okay. Now look, I'll take 3 cards, and you cut to these positions. Okay. So I'll just move 3 cards to get them out of the way to make it random, and whatever the next cards are, we'll distribute them amongst the rest of the packets. Okay. So it's completely random, like this, and I can even put them anywhere that I like this. I don't have to do it in order.
Okay.
So this is pretty fair, right?
Yeah.
And 3. And just mix them up any way we like. Now, you cut anywhere you like. We shuffled at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You ever played poker?
Yes.
You have. How did you get on?
I'm sorry?
How did you get? Did you win money? Did you lose money?
No, I don't play for money.
Oh, you don't play for money?
Yeah.
It's no fun without money, and you should have bet tonight because you got all 4 aces. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I should bet next time. What can I say?
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Can I bring you along?
Cutting to the aces is a very impressive effect, and a poker player's picnic is a very simple way of achieving that effect. To do this, you need to begin by taking the 4 aces out of the deck and stacking them on top. In other words, you simply place 4 aces secretly on top of the deck. Now, before you begin the trick, shuffle the deck. We use the overhand shuffle control. We cut half from the bottom to begin the shuffle, in-jog a card, and shuffle off. Then we undercut at the in-jog by pressing up on that jogged card and complete the cut. This brings the aces to the top. And we repeat this shuffle as we talk. Invite someone to cut the deck into 4 piles. When they cut, some people will cut like this, which is perfect. Some people, however, may cut like this. They may cut a small packet off, and then another packet, and another packet. When they do this, it's important to follow where the top packet goes. That's the packet with the aces. For this trick, let's assume they've cut this way. And we know the aces are over here. Whatever happens, the last packet that you pick up will be the ace packet. So we're going to go from this side to this side. And I begin by saying, well, let's take a random number like 3. And I always look at someone and pretend that they suggested it. And sometimes people will believe that, and sometimes they won't. It won't matter. So we take a random number like 3. I pick up the packet before anybody gets a chance to say anything. And I take 3 cards, 1, 2, 3, and put them on the bottom. Say, okay, now let's distribute some cards amongst the rest of the packets. And repeat. Pick up a packet, take 3 on the bottom, and put 1 card on top of each of the other packets. And again, pick up another packet, 3 on the bottom, and 1 card on top of each of the other packets. You don't have to do this in order. You can actually mix it up and do it any way you like, so long as you only put 1 card on each of the packets. What this means is, on top of the ace packet are now 3 random cards, followed by the 4 aces. So, if you were to pick that packet up and transfer 3 to the bottom, you're simply removing the 3 cards that you just put on top. And when you distribute 3 amongst the other packets, even when you do it randomly, you're simply placing an ace on top of each of those packets. At this point, you recap. You say, well, the deck was shuffled. You cut it yourself. We took the number 3, and I usually point to the person I pretended to hear the number 3 from. And we transferred that, and then we mixed the cards up amongst all the other packets. Even after that, it would be amazing to find high cards on top of each one of these packets. Even more amazing if each one of these was an ace. And that's a poker player's picnic.
Okay. Nate, I want you to take a card from anywhere that you like. Okay. Show the card to everyone. Make sure you see it yourself. I won't look. All right. Ready?
Yes.
Put your card there. Good. Now, you're the only person, well, everybody knows what the card is except me, I guess. Do you know where the card is?
No.
Never do I. I'll cut the deck around a bit here. Is your card on top?
No.
No? How about on the bottom?
No.
No? Okay. Put the cards in your pocket, right there. Very good. And give me a number between 1 and 10. It's entirely up to you.
7.
7. Okay, good choice. I'm going to have to go into your pocket to get the cards. Okay, I'm going to take them out one at a time.
Okay.
Okay. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Bet you're glad you're not wearing this shirt. 6. 7. Oh wait, I can feel it leaping up into my hand. At least I hope that's the card. It's a black card?
Yes.
It's a club. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Is it? Mm-hmm. I can't see that value very well. What's the value?
Let's find out.
The 7. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
That's
7.
it.
No clubs. Like that.
Pocket discovery is an excellent little effect. You will need to have somebody wearing a breast pocket for this to work. So it might be a formal occasion, perhaps in the office where people are wearing suits. You'll find that often people will have a shirt on with a breast pocket that will work for this trick too. You may want to prefer doing this with a gentleman rather than a lady for what will become obvious reasons. Let's have a card selected, and it can be any card at all. In this case, it'll be our Ace of Spades. Jeff, why don't you take the Ace of Spades, which you've just selected, and just return it to the deck around about here. And we're going to use the overhand shuffle control, in jog 1, and shuffle off. And now undercut. And then shuffle again. This time, I'm going to run 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. Onto our card, in jog, and shuffle off. So we've given it a good shuffle, but I've actually added just 3 cards to your card. Now, I'm now going to show you that your card is neither on the top or on the bottom. So I say, look, your card isn't on the top, and I only show 3 cards. Now, of course, it now is on the top. I turn the deck over, and I'm going to show the bottom 3. And as I show these 3 and put them down, I'm going to allow, just by letting the deck fall a little bit, the pressure of my palm against that card will allow that card to peek out a little bit, like that. Okay? That's a little bit too much, but it's enough for me to see the card. It only happens for an instant, okay, as I take these cards, and your card is not on the bottom either. And I can see the Ace of Spades quite clearly, like that. I take these cards and I place them here, like this. And I ask you to take these and put them in your breast pocket. It's important that the faces of the deck are towards me as he places it into his pocket. Go ahead, Jeff. Now, I know that the top card of the deck, the card closest to Jeff, is his card. I'm going to ask him to name any number he likes between 1 and 10. When he does that, I'm going to begin removing cards from his pocket one at a time. Jeff, name a number between 1 and 10.
7.
7. That's a good number. I'm going to remove cards one at a time from your pocket, okay? Let's see. That's not your card. That's number 1. What I'm doing is in Jeff's pocket. Could you just place your hand here, Jeff?
Certainly.
Okay, so we can see that. Okay. In Jeff's pocket, I'm only going to remove the face cards. That's 1. That's 2. But I put my whole hand in like this before removing a card. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6. I'm removing cards from the face. On his card, I'm going to remove a card from the back. What makes this strong, however, is not just that I remove his card at his number, but while my hand is in the pocket, I keep it here. Now, at this point, the entire deck is inside, and I can't see it. And I say, yeah, I've got it. I can feel it jumping into my hand. Seriously, I'm talking about the card. And it's a black card. I begin naming the card that I peeked earlier. In this case, it was the Ace of Spades. It's a black card. It's a spade. Is it the Ace of Spades? As soon as he says yes, I come straight out with that card from the back with my fingers. Pull it straight out like that. And I show it to him. It's a very, very strong revelation of a card. He then removes the deck from his pocket, and everything is complete.
Okay, let's try a little experiment. Tell you what, take out any 5 cards that you like. Okay, any 5. Just make sure that none of them are the same value. Don't take out like 3 aces, and they can be any suit that you like. Any 5. Take your time. Are you done? Good. All right, that's good. Let's see what you got there. Now, I can see these, obviously. That doesn't matter. Genevieve. Do you see the cards?
Yes.
Okay. I'll look away for a second. Nothing personal. And I want you to just think of any card that you see there. But just think of it. Don't even point to it. Don't let anybody else know which card you're thinking of. I'll look away. Have you got one? Mm-hmm. Good. Okay. Not sure about that one. Not sure about that one either. Let's try this one here. You any idea?
I know.
Oh, you know?
No, I don't know.
Should have asked you. Nope. Yep, I think I got it. Right there. Yeah, I think I got it. I cut the cards right here for a reason. You're thinking of one of the cards, and it's only a thought in your mind, right? Okay. I won't touch the cards again. For the first time, tell everyone what card you're thinking of.
The 2.
The 2. So you could have thought of the ace. There was there a 10 there? Mm-hmm. Okay. Count down 2 cards. That's the value that you thought of.
Okay.
So that would be 1. That would be 2. Hold that card. That's it. 2 clubs.
It's hard to find a stronger effect than reading someone's mind, and the next 2 effects duplicates just that. This is called telepathy plus. Have the deck shuffled by anybody and ask them to remove any 5 cards. It's important to say, make sure all the cards are different. Don't take out 2 aces or 3 kings or anything like that. That way you'll end up with 5 different values, which is important. In this case, I've removed 5 values at random, just to give a good example of how this works. We have a 2, a king, a 10, a 5, and a 7. Now to do this, you simply have to look at these cards and determine the order, starting from the lowest value to the highest. So that would be 2, 5, 7, 10, and king. I'm going to shuffle these into the deck one at a time. Before we do that, ask someone to think of any one of these cards. It's an important point when asking to someone to think of something that's openly displayed to look away, so they can't suggest that maybe you looked at their eyes or anything like that during the effect. Once they've thought of a card, turn around, and now you look at them closely. Okay. Pick up the highest valued card, and while you're looking at them, place it on top of the deck. Now you're going to shuffle. Now the idea is this. I'm going to set these cards on top of the deck, so if they count to any one of these values, they'll find their card. And I'm going to use the overhand shuffle control and the run to do that. Now the highest value is the king. I'm going to place that on top of the deck. Now you notice the next highest value is a 10. So, counting backwards, the king would be 13, the queen would be 12, the jack would be 11, the next card would be 10. So there's no jack and there's no queen, so I'm going to use the run to make that up. I have 13 on top of the deck. I undercut about half of the deck, and I run 2 cards. That would be the jack and the queen. And now I in-jog a card and shuffle off. And cut to the in-jog and throw on top. The king is now the 3rd card from the top. Now I take the next highest card, which in this case is the 10, and place that on top. So now the 10 is in its position. I just need to keep adding cards to make sure I stack up the deck properly. So the 10 is in its proper position. The next card is the 7. So I know I need to put another 2 cards on top to compensate for the 8 and the 9 that's missing. So I shuffle 2 cards. In-jog 1, and shuffle off. Undercut, throw on top. So now the 8 and 9 have been compensated for, and the 10 is right there. Like that. The 7 goes into its place. The next one is a 5. So the only card missing is a 6. I need one card before I place the 5 on top. 1. Shuffle off. Cut on top. Now I place the 5. The next one is a 2. So 3 and 4 are missing. I need 2 more cards. 1, 2, in jog. Shuffle off. Undercut. Throw on top. I place the 2 on top. There's no ace, so we need one card to compensate for the ace. And we're set. So, I have an odd card and the 2. I have 2 more odd cards, then the 5. I have another odd card, then the 7. 2 more, and the 10, 2 more, and the king. So if I were to count down, you would see that their cards fall at their specific values. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Simply because of the shuffle that we just did. Now I set the deck in front of them and say, that's where I want to be. I think I'll stop right there. Yeah, I'm certain. What was the name of the card you chose? When they name their card, you tell them to count down to that value and turn over that card, and they'll find the card they're thinking of at its specific value. Of course, all the cards they selected are at their specific value, but they never suspect that. Let me do it one more time, quickly, to show you how the shuffle works. Here are the cards. The king goes on top. 2 cards in jog, shuffle off, throw on top. 10 goes on top. 2 cards in jog, shuffle off, that goes on top. I keep looking at the audience. The 7, 1 card in jog, shuffle, throw on top. The 5, 2 cards in jog, shuffle, throw on top. The 2, 1 card in jog. Yeah, I'm going to cut right there. And I guarantee your card is at the specific value. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, King. And that is Telepathy Plus. All right. I'm going to have you think of a card.
Okay.
But let's see. See if we can find the card's special place. You know what the special place is in the deck for a card?
In the middle?
Well, that's one option. Yeah, that's one option. You'll see. You'll see. Let's take some cards. Let's see. These ones here. And that's a pretty good choice. Just think of one. Don't even pick one. Don't point at one. I'll look away. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're thinking of one of these cards.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can't know which one it is, right? There's no way I can know. Okay.
No way. I'm not sure in my head.
Mix these up. All right, so now they're mixed up. Let's see. That's it right there. I think your card is in its special place. All you have to do is name it. The minute you name it, it'll jump.
Okay, where's the special place?
You'll see.
You want me to say my card out?
Mm-hmm.
4 of diamonds.
4 of diamonds. And the 4 of diamonds is its name.
Mm-hmm.
Now every card has a special place. And we're going to name its special place. Watch. We're going to spell the 4 of diamonds. F-O-U-R-O-F-D-I-A-M-O-N-D-S. Now we're going to discuss a trick called Thought Stealer, where you read the mind of a spectator by spelling to the card that they're merely thinking of. Now we only offer them 6 cards to think of, but this is still a very impressive effect. The secret, of course, is that we control which 6 cards they look at. The 6 cards are here, and this setup has a secret, and that is that these cards will each spell one after the other. Let me explain. We have the 2 of clubs, the 6 of spades, the 5 of hearts, 7 of spades, 4 of diamonds, and Queen of diamonds. If I show you on this chart, you can see each one spells with one more letter than the last. So the 6 of spades has one more letter than the 2 of clubs, and so on down the list. So using that, all we have to do is show them those cards and control them to specific positions to make sure that they spell. So to begin, in the book you'll notice that the book recommends that you simply take those cards out one at a time and lay them in front of the audience and ask them to think of one. That's good, but a better way would be to have the stack on top of the deck, like so. And then shuffle as you talk and offer to present the trick. Now I'm controlling the top stock here so that when I finish shuffling, the 6 cards are still here on top. When I'm ready, I deal the cards out, inviting them to think of any one. An important point is to look away as they look at the cards. Once they've thought of a card, gather up the cards, make sure you don't change their order. Keep them in this order here. Drop them on top of the deck and immediately shuffle. As you shuffle, you're going to lay 9 cards on top of that stack. To do this, we use the run. We lift up half the cards, and we run cards one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Of course, we don't count out loud. Once we've run 9 cards, we in-jog the next card, that's the 10th card there, and we shuffle off, like so. Now our in-jog is there, against our pinky. We push, open up a break, undercut, and throw on top. So now on top of the deck, we have 9 cards, and then our 6-card stack. Again, we're going to move away from the method in the book for just a second. I'm going to deal cards and ask them to spell in their mind without actually saying anything, and invite them to stop as soon as I reach the last letter that they spell. So if they were to spell the 2 of clubs, they would spell TWOOFCLUBS in their mind, and when they reach UBS, they say stop on S. This is very strong as well. So if they were to spell like that, I would deal. That would be F in their mind, and in their mind they'd be spelling CLUBS, and this is the point that they'd invite me to stop. Once they've asked me to stop, I turn over that card, and it's the card they were merely thinking of. You cannot find a stronger effect in card magic than revealing a thought-of card. And this is Thought Stealer.
All right, pick a card. Make sure you're happy with the card. Take it from anywhere. It's good. Show it to everybody. Okay. Put it in the middle. All right. Make sure I shuffle the cards. It's important. Like that. I'm going to find your card using my personal magnetism. All right then.
I can feel the magnetism.
Now watch. What I'm going to do is come down like this. So come down like this. Hopefully, just a little more. Hopefully your card is attracted. Like this. What was your card?
The Ace of Hearts.
The Ace of Hearts. Is that it?
Yep.
Thank goodness for that. Going right for a change.
Brilliant.
It's brilliant.
Pinky Does It is a title that gives away the method. That's why magicians rarely tell their audiences what their tricks are called. In this case, a card is freely selected from a shuffled deck. In this case, we'll use our blue-backed Ace of Spades. And this would be returned to the center of the deck during an overhand shuffle. After the card has been returned, we in-jog the next card and shuffle off, like so. And then we undercut and throw on top. And we continue with the top card overhand shuffle control, moving it to the bottom and then shuffling it to the top so that the selection is on top of the deck. Now we're going to raise the deck up so they see the face of the deck. This will actually be raised to shoulder height, which will give more movement and more cover for what's about to happen. For the sake of explanation, I'm going to do it here so you can see it clearly. I'm going to raise the deck up so they see the face. But in actual fact, I begin by moving the deck forward, like so, leaving a little more space at the base of my palm here. We'll need that in a moment. As I raise up, the left hand is going to carry the bottom half of the deck slightly higher than the top half. And the right hand helps in this case by supporting the deck just for a second as you raise it up, and actually it only holds the top half of the deck. So, as I raise up, the left hand will go slightly further, like this, leaving the deck in a stepped condition. One more time, like this. Now this action of raising it up is what covers that. It's a larger motion concealing a smaller motion, which is often used in magic. The important thing is to make sure that the larger motion is justified and not out of place with what you're proposing to do. Of course, raising the deck up is perfectly logical in this trick. So once you've created your step, everything looks okay from the front. Now remember, the selection is secretly on top of the deck. We're going to make the card rise out of the center of the deck, a classic effect in magic, by apparently using the magnetic properties of my first finger, which I charge up by rubbing on my sleeve. It's important that I don't reveal that step as I do this. Now I'm going to contact the top of the deck. I'm going to lift up my hand, apparently drawing the card out of the deck at the same time. In actual fact, my pinky does it. It's going to extend like this. When it extends, it cannot be seen from the front. So to the audience, this is the only finger contacting the top of the deck. So from here, I'm going to bring that card up to meet my finger before I raise my hand. To do this, the pinky does this action. So from here, rises up. It's now met my index finger, but everything looks okay from the front. I'll do it again. From here to here, and we're ready to begin. Now as I raise my hand, the card will come along supported by the pinky. When it reaches the end of the first step, the lower step at the back, it's going to move forward slightly. That's okay. But when it moves forward, I must maintain control of it until it meets the front packet, and then bring it down just a tad, just a small amount, so it ends up between the two packets. So I raise the card up, comes forward just a little bit, and down just enough to squeeze between those packets. And from here, of course, I immediately curl in my pinky, like so. Now you can see the card is between the two packets. I'm going to lower the deck to let them see the card in the middle of the deck. Now, of course, if I do it this way, they're going to see the stepped condition. So my right hand comes over that step at the back, like this. And as I lower my hand, again, the larger motion concealing the smaller motion, my right hand will move forward slightly, bringing that packet square with the lower packet. The card will end up in the center of the deck, where it has apparently appeared from. So from here, as I lower my hand, during that action, my hand comes forward enough to leave a squared deck with a single card sticking outside. So one more time. From here to here. Now my hand is here. It has to have a reason for being here. So I'm going to move out to this long edge of the card. And I'm going to move the card out to my right. As I do that, it's going to spin a little bit. It's kind of like a mini flourish against this finger. So as I move out like this, I show the card. One more time. My hand goes here and it just moves to the side, and the card will spin against this finger, like that. And that's it. If you don't want to do that, from here, just take the card and show it. Pinky does it. Okay. Genevieve.
Yes.
Let's have you pick a card. Any
Okay.
card you like. Okay. All right. Look at the card. You can show it to other people if you like.
Okay.
Okay. And when you're ready, just put it back on top there.
All right.
That's good. Okay, we'll shuffle these up like that. I want you to think of a number. Any number you like. Okay, between 10 and 20 is probably perfect.
Okay.
Okay. I'll turn my back. I need you to whisper the number to Genevieve. Okay, so make sure I don't hear it. Okay, make sure the microphone doesn't hear it either. You done that?
Mm-hmm.
Ready?
Yep.
Good. Okay, this is what I need you to do.
Okay.
You've got a number now as well. I need you to take the cards and count that number like this onto the table one at a time.
Okay.
Okay? And I'll turn my back again. Once you've counted the number onto the table, pick it up and drop it back on top of the deck. And then tell me when you're done.
Okay.
Okay? So now we have a secret card and a secret number. And I'll keep talking so that I can't hear how many cards you're dealing. Okay? Like that. Try and catch a reflection in Nate's eyes. Yep. Okay. Actually, I might prefer to catch it in your eyes.
Oh,
Okay. Isn't that nice?
that was sweet. Okay.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Have you put the cards back on top of the deck?
Yes.
Okay. Did you shuffle?
No.
I'll shuffle for you.
Good. Good looking.
Let's see. You have the number in your mind.
Yes.
Concentrate on the number. I'm going to deal cards one at a time.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What was the number you thought of?
12.
12.
Mm-hmm.
What was the card?
I think it was the ace of clubs.
Right there.
Very nice.
Yeah.
This effect is called a card and a number, and is one of the most baffling tricks in the whole book because it uses an impromptu marked card. In fact, this is a trick I often use to fool other magicians. In this case, we're going to use our odd-backed blue ace of spades. This will be the selection. Now in the routine, you notice I asked them to simply think of a card and then remove it from the deck to show to the rest of the audience. The reason we do that is so that the rest of the audience is involved in the trick, but most importantly is to make sure that he doesn't forget his card or change his mind to perhaps challenge me. So once everybody knows what the card is, that won't change for the rest of the effect. Once the card has been removed, I have it controlled to the top using the overhand shuffle. So take your card, you've shown it to everybody. As I go through, say stop.
Stop.
Now we run one card in jogging and shuffle off. And then undercut at the jog to bring the card to the top. At this point, I invite someone else to think of any number, say between 10 and 20, not too long. When they think of the number, I ask them to whisper it to the person who chose the card. At that point, I turn away. So someone is whispering to you the number that they thought of. When I turn away, this is what I do. I take my thumbnail of the right hand, I turn over this card, so I know what the card is. No one sees this because I'm turned away. And I press the nail into the center of the card here against my finger. And when I do that, I create a bump right in the very center of the card, which I can feel. It's very small, but I can definitely feel that bump. And it's dead center. That's important because you need to know exactly where to feel for that bump later. Okay. Now secretly, the card is on top of the deck. Once you know the number, I'm going to ask Jeff to deal that number into a pile when I turn my back again. So let's say the number is 12. Okay? You deal 12 cards into a pile, one on top of the other, as I turn my back. Now I won't see the number.
Done.
Now I ask Jeff to take the cards he's dealt and put them back on top of the deck.
Done.
And hand me the deck. And we overhand shuffle, controlling the top stock. So we cut around halfway, in jog, and shuffle off, and then undercut to the jogged card. So those cards are still on top of the deck. Now at this moment, I do not know how many cards he dealt. So I'm going to begin dealing them one at a time. As I deal the cards, my thumb feels for the bump as I take the card off. So I take the card like this, and as I take it off, my thumb is just feeling. I don't do this with my thumb. I let this hand do the action as it draws the card off. And I keep going until I feel the bump on the back of that card. And I stop on 12. Now I felt the bump there quite clearly. And of course this is a number that he dealt. That's the first part of the effect. And I say 12 is an important number. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because that's your card. A very strong ending. Let me show you another way to do this trick. I change the handling slightly by putting everything under the table, which again to magicians will make things appear to be quite difficult. Let's imagine that I had two people sitting beside me. The deck can be shuffled, and once it's shuffled, I begin by turning to the first person and telling him that I want him to think of a small number. And in a moment, under the table, he's going to count that number into his hand, and he does it like this. 1, 2, 3, taking each card onto the last, like this. He can't take the cards like this, because the trick won't work. So once I've given him those instructions, I ask him to hand the deck to the other person, but to do so under the table. So the cards never come up from under the table. Then I'm going to tell you that you can shuffle the cards if you like, which is difficult under the table, but you can remove any card from the middle, take it out just a little bit so you can see it, remember it,
and put it back on top of the deck. The cards will then be handed to the other person, who will replace his cards on top and give the cards to me. I will then find the card. This is how it works. After I've given him his instructions, I turn to you to give you your instructions, and I remove a card. In this case, we'll take out the ace of spades again, at random. So a card is taken out at random, and I say, you can look at that and remember it. And at this point, I put the mark into the card. I'm looking directly at Jeff. No one will see this. And return it to the top. And if I like, I can shuffle the cards a little so long as I return that card back to the top. So when the first person takes the cards one at a time, let's imagine they've taken 5 cards. They hold on to those cards. Now the 5th card down now, of course, is my marked card. The deck is handed to Jeff. He can cut or shuffle if he likes. He removes any card, looks at it, Jack of diamonds in this case, and returns it to the top. Now the deck is handed back, and the second person returns his cards on top of Jeff's. And when I take the deck, under the table, I can find the card in a very simple way. Underneath, I go over, that's 1. Nope. 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 There's the bump there, and I take that card. Now that card, of course, is not his selection in this case, it's the next card. I take the 5 cards, I turn them face up and put them into the middle of the deck. And I remove their card. So underneath the table, I come out like this with 1 card and table the deck. This, of course, will be their selection. That's very baffling. Secondly, I'll ask what the secret number was. He'll say 5. And when I spread the deck on the table, which you'll learn how to do in the flourish section, 5 cards, exactly the number he asked for, are reversed in the center of the deck. And that's it. Now you've learned how simple it is to control cards with the overhand shuffle. Let's move on to the riffle shuffle. We can control cards on the table and even when we shuffle in the air. The riffle shuffle is a very important technique on the Royal Road to Card Magic because so much magic relies on the way that it mixes the cards together. Here, in this course, you'll find ways of controlling cards at the top and the bottom, and even stocks that are shuffled throughout the deck. Later, if you choose to move on, you'll find ways of controlling the entire deck with the riffle shuffle. But to begin, I'll show you how to simply shuffle the cards. You begin with the deck on the table in front of you. You want to make sure that it's at a comfortable distance, not too far, not too close. Cut half of the deck to the right. If it's more comfortable to you, cut it to the left. The hands will now work as follows. The 4th, 3rd, and 2nd fingers of each hand will control the outer long edge of the deck. The thumbs will control the inner long edge of the deck, while the first fingers will curl onto the top like this to give support for the riffling action. When I riffle the 2 packets together, I will not be riffling the entire inner short edges together, like this. Instead, I'm simply going to riffle the corners that are closest to me together. To do that, the packets are a little bit apart. I grasp them, and I'm going to lift the inner edge. As I do that, notice how my fingers apply pressure to allow me to riffle the cards, like so. And I bring the packets close enough together so that when I begin riffling, they start to merge, like so. So when completed, we have 1 deck shuffled like this. We now square the ends together. And now I'm going to square the deck. Now you could do it like this if you like, but if you want to do a more elegant square, riffle the cards together, bring the ends together, and put your thumbs in the center of the edge closest to you, and your fingers at the outside of the short edges at either end of the shuffled deck. And you're going to squeeze like this down this edge, pushing the packets together. At the same time, the thumbs will come out, so the fingers and thumbs will meet at these corners. And if I push like this at the same time, it's a very neat way of shuffling the cards. So one more time at speed, like this. And again, riffling together and squaring, like so. For the riffle shuffle, don't pull up too sharply on the packets, like so. Instead, bring up the thumbs just enough to lift up the packets and run your thumbs slowly up the deck like this and pick up speed. Smoothness is more important than speed. Like so. And again, like so. This will help make a neater shuffle and give you more control over the packets. So to begin, I'm going to show you how to control the top card using the riffle shuffle. This is actually very simple. But like everything else on the Road to Card Magic, it has to be timed properly and performed naturally. Also, it's best not to look at your hands once again. If I shuffle the cards, give them a couple of mix. Ace of Spades remains on the top of the deck. To do this, cut the top half to the right, riffle shuffle the cards, and simply ensure that the last card to fall is on top of the deck. Square the cards and continue to shuffle. Each time I make sure that the last card to fall is Ace of Spades. Let's make this a little clearer using our blue-backed Ace of Spades. Like so. This is very simple to do while not looking at the deck. My thumbs tell me everything I need to know. I know which cards finish last and which cards finish first. So that's one card. What if I want to control a group of cards? Again, it's exactly the same. I just make sure that my thumb holds back a packet of cards rather than just one. I can control up to 8 to 10 cards this way. Of course, the less cards you have to control, the better the shuffle will look. There's one touch I can give you on this. If you have to do several shuffles, begin by cutting to the right and retain your card on top of the deck. This time, cut to the left and still retain your card on top, making sure that's the last one to fall. And continue changing, cutting from one side to the next. It's a very small tip, but it helps to conceal the shuffle. So, how do you control cards on the bottom of the deck during a riffle shuffle? It's easy. You make sure those cards riffle off your thumb first. Ace of Spades is on the bottom of the deck. I cut, and when I riffle, I make sure that that Ace of Spades is the first card to fall, like so. The ace falls, and then the rest of the deck is shuffled on top. And I continue doing that until I'm ready to perform. And my Ace of Spades stays on the bottom. Now what about a group of cards? For a group of cards, I cut, and I simply raise up. I don't begin by riffling off a group like this, because that riffle might be detected. I begin by raising up a group of cards above the packet I wish to control. So, I come like this, and I shuffle. And that packet on the bottom remains under complete control. Like so. It's also necessary in some effects to place a card on top of a group during a shuffle. To do that, you cut, say your group was here, or was on the original top of the deck. I riffle shuffle, and I make sure I hold one card back and lay it on top of the stack, like so. So, using our blue-backed Ace of Spades, if I want to add one card to the top of that, I cut, and I shuffle, and I make sure there's one card left in this hand before I let all of these go. And I square, which places that card second from the top. This version of the riffle shuffle is an extremely useful way of mixing the cards when standing up, when there's no table. It's very convincing, and some of the controls that you've learned so far can actually be applied to this shuffle. It looks like this. Now later I'll show you how to push these cards together in a very fancy way that we call the waterfall. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you how to split the deck and shuffle the ends together. I'm going to hold the deck in what we call biddle grip, like this. My right thumb is at the inside edge
My fingers are on the outside edge, the short edges. The first finger is curled on top, like so. And I'm going to lift the deck up like this and riffle off half of the deck with my thumb. And to do that, I have to grip tightly with these fingertips and this curled finger here. So if I were to release my thumb, you see that deck is under complete control. I'm going to riffle off half of the cards like this and take them in the left hand. To do that, I insert my first finger into that break, like this. Okay? And I pinch the deck between the first and second fingers of the left hand. Now, as soon as it's here, I don't take that packet away yet. Instead, I lift up with the right hand, which levers that packet like this onto a horizontal plane. I begin lifting it further to meet the left thumb. And as soon as the thumb has it, I can release, like so. One more time. I riffle, insert my finger, lift up, pushing with my right fingertips until it meets the thumb, and now both hands are holding the packets in similar ways. I can now riffle the ends with the thumbs. Now in this case, I'm not going to do just the corners, but I'm actually going to riffle the ends together. Like that. Take these apart and I'll do it again. Like this. And now you simply push the deck together, or if there's a table, you can set it on its edge and push everything like that. And that's the in the hands riffle shuffle. Erin, I'll have you choose a card.
Okay.
And now you can see if I mix the cards up like that, it's pretty fair, right? Cut anywhere you like, around about the middle, okay? Look at the card you cut to, show it to everyone else, okay? That's good, don't let me see it. And replace the cut, and just slide your card into the deck somewhere, okay? Good. Now, I could find your card now, but it wouldn't be too impressive unless someone shuffled the cards, I guess. Why don't you shuffle the cards? Okay, give them a riffle shuffle like that, that's good. You're professional, yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Shuffle them again. So you must admit it's difficult to find your card now. You could have taken a card from anywhere. You could have put it back anywhere.
Yep.
He shuffled the cards. Do you want to cut? Complete the cut?
Give him 2 cards. How's that sound?
Just give me the cards again. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to try and find your card. Now, it's challenging, but feel confident. Okay, let's see. Thanks very much, Margaret.
Faith in you.
You're the only one.
Have faith in you, remember.
Okay. I've managed to determine that your card is a black card. It's a very high up black card. It's maybe a spade, and it's probably a court card, like a jack, queen, or king. In fact, I'm absolutely certain that your card is the 8 of diamonds.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Like that.
In an instinct for cards, the riffle shuffle is exploited to distribute cards in the deck so you still understand which card was selected. You'll see what I mean. The ace, the king of diamonds, is removed and placed in order. This goes on top of the deck. So we have ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, through to the jack, queen, and king of diamonds. Now I can control these on top by using the overhand shuffle until I'm ready to begin. And when I'm ready, I take about 1/3 of the deck and simply shuffle it fairly on top of my stack. So I know that the ace, the king of diamonds are in the center. Now to make things easy for you, we've used a deck with no faces other than the ace, the king of diamonds. So these cards begin in the middle, and you invite someone to cut the deck and take the card they cut to. You must encourage them to cut to the center of the deck, because if they don't choose a diamond, the trick won't work. So I always say, cut the deck around about the middle. And once they've done that, I say, now take the card you cut to. Sometimes they'll say this one or this one. It's up to you. So long as they cut around about the middle, we know they've cut into the diamonds. So they remove their card, and they look at it. In this case, it's the 3 of diamonds. The book encourages you to have them cut the deck and replace it. Now, the problem is that sometimes cards will cut at exactly the same place. So you don't want it to cut and replace the 3 in its original location, otherwise the trick won't work. The 3 must be offset from the rest of the diamonds. It can be replaced amongst the diamonds, but not in its original location. So I have them simply push it into the deck without cutting, like this. So it can go anywhere. Now they can cut the deck as many times as they like and give it 2 riffle shuffles. To do this, I always say, riffle shuffle the deck. And then encourage them to cut some more. And then ask them to riffle shuffle again, rather than say, give it 2 riffle shuffles. It seems to them that they shuffled it more if you do it this way. Now, I've given it 1 riffle shuffle so far. Let me show you how the diamonds have been distributed amongst the deck. You can see that shuffle has left a few cards between each diamond. In this case, mostly 1 card between each diamond. But they're still in order, ace through to king, apart from the card that was removed, which is the 3. Now, if we shuffle 1 more time, like so, and cut, the ace through the king of diamonds will still be in order. Like so. Now you see it's been cut here, but that's ace, 2, there's no 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there's the 3, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king. So, to find our card, you simply go looking for the ace of diamonds. As soon as you find it, here, you continue to the next card. If that's the 2, you know it's not the 2. Continue to the 4, then the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king. And of course, the only card that was out of sequence was the 3. It should be between the 2 and the 4, but it's actually between the 7 and the 8. So clearly, the card they selected and placed elsewhere in the deck was the 3 of diamonds. And that's an instinct for cards. Ultra card divination is an ingenious self-working effect that requires a little bit of memory, a pad, and a pen. Take the deck, and once it's been shuffled, count the cards to make sure there are 52 cards here. And as you're counting, you want to remember 1 card. That's the 34th card. Now, I happen to know that the 34th card is the 5 of hearts. And there it is. I continue counting until I'm sure there are 52 cards there. In actual fact, you do not need a 52-card deck for this trick to work, but this is the excuse for counting through the cards. So I've remembered the 5 of hearts. I now cut off slightly less than half the deck. You don't want to have as many as 26 cards here, just slightly less. And have this packet shuffled. While they shuffle these cards, I take my pen and the pad of paper, and while nobody can see, I write 5 of hearts. 5 of hearts. Fold the paper. Like so. Now for clarity, we've used a thick marker with white paper, which you can actually see through the paper. In actual fact, you're best to use a pencil in real performance. When you're done, take the pen, place it on the table, and place a prediction tent-wise over the pen, like so. So that's clearly isolated from you, and the prediction is made. Once these cards are shuffled, you have 3 cards selected. Okay, now they can select any 3 cards. Let's imagine they just take the 3 top cards, which is the 2, 7, and 6. And these are dealt face up in a row. Return these to the rest of the deck and hand them the deck. Now it gets a little bit confusing, so you have to make sure that your language is easy to understand. Each of these packets must be made up to 10. And we begin with the value of the card that you have. So for instance, you have a 2 here. So we already have 2, so we continue from 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you continue. You've given an example. It's very clear. They take the deck and they continue from 5. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now remember, they had a completely free selection over those cards. So the number of cards in that packet was determined by them. We repeat that over here, beginning with 7. 7, 8, 9, 10. And the same here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we deal a packet onto each card to make that card up to 10. To the audience, this seems completely random. They chose 3 cards. The number of cards in each packet is very random. And now they're going to add the value of these cards to arrive at a completely random card. So if you add 6, 7, and 2, you arrive at 15. The 15th card down from this packet is the 5 of hearts, which was originally the 34th card. And by choosing these cards and cancelling off the number of cards required for each value, you'll leave just enough to arrive at your predicted card. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And the next card is the 5 of hearts. Using all the acting you can, pretend like maybe you got it wrong. I wasn't sure. 5 of hearts. No, I'm sorry. But that's the card I wrote down earlier. Now we're ready to demonstrate our skill with cards. The following techniques, when used sparingly, are very effective. These are the flourishes. Flourishes are an open display of skill used to punctuate card magic. When used sparingly, they can be very effective. Today, there's a branch of the art where people use almost nothing but flourishes in their work. Experts at this include Joe Burton, Dan and Dave Buck, and several others around the world. Generally, in card magic, you want to keep displays of skill to a minimum so that the effect is concentrated on the cards rather than your ability with the cards. Here are a few examples of some flourishes that go well with most card tricks. The Royal Road to Card Magic refers to this as a ruffle. You and I could call it a riffle, like this. Simply hold the deck in dealing position. Place your thumb on top of the deck here to give support. And remove your finger just by lowering it as this hand comes over to grasp the outer edge. The back is supported by the right thumb. I'm simply going to lift up, bending the deck like this. And as I bend the deck upwards, I begin slowly releasing cards with the tip of my second finger. Like that. I can do it slowly like this, or I can do it quickly. Like this. This is very good if you want to make something happen. Maybe make the top card of the deck change, riffle, and then show the change. That's using 2 hands. With 1 hand, you can also make a riffle. Take the first finger and place it underneath the deck to give support. So the deck is essentially pinched between the first finger and the thumb. And I pull down on the edge with the second finger, like this. I clear these fingers away and simply riffle like that. So if I want to make a noise, I can show something just happened. You can even ruffle with 1 card. This is a little less effective, but to do this, you simply hit the card with 2 fingers at once. So you hold the card like this, the second finger goes on top of the first, and the third on top of that. And you release one, followed by the second. Like that. And place on top. An extremely useful flourish is the ribbon spread, called the ribbon spread, I guess, because the deck looks sort of like a ribbon when it's spread across the table. This is very simple to do. Begin by placing the deck where you want the spread to begin. Now grasp the deck with the right second, third, and fourth fingers at the outer end and the thumb at the inner end. This finger begins curled on top. When you begin the spread, you extend it so it's over the edge of the deck. Now that's the left edge of the deck. The reason for this is because I'm going to press down on that edge as I begin spreading. Now friction will retain the bottom card on the table. If I were just to move the whole deck to the side, that would happen. Because I want to continue retaining cards, I'm going to spread with this finger. So it's here, adding pressure, and as I begin moving, more and more cards are held down. Now my finger is flat to encourage the cards to continue spreading right to the very end. And my hand ends up flat like this. So my fingers lower and flatten out as the spread continues. Again, I start here. I begin spreading, flattening out my fingers and my hand until the spread has ended, like this. Often it depends on the quality of your surface and the quality of your cards, how even the spread is. Now this is a pretty even spread. Once you have an even spread, one of the most popular flourishes is to flip over the ribbon, like this. Now we can extend that too. But to begin, all you need to know is that by levering up this end and pushing over, like a domino effect, the whole spread will continue flipping over until it reaches the last card. So if I flip over like this, all I have to do is press down, and that will continue all the way to the end. We can also control that. Again, we spread, and again we begin it. This time I'm going to put my finger right there on top of the cards that are falling over, and I can control the spread to the end. I can even go back the way if I want to, like this. Very, very simple. You should be able to do that the first time you try it. As soon as you get the spread over, keep it even as much as you can, and then control the spread like this. I like to lay it on this hand because now I can simply reach across and pick up the whole deck. Flip over, like this, and pick up. Another very, very colorful way of controlling it is to take one card and use that to lever up the end. As soon as you have it here, take the edge of that card and place it at the top of the spread. And use this to control your spread. Like so. Springing the cards is a very popular flourish and is a surefire way of getting your audience's attention. It's actually very simple. All it requires is practice. Both hands play an important part. This is the most important hand because this catches the cards. Without this hand, it's a completely different trick. The idea is basically to throw these cards into this hand so that the front end, the front short end, is caught against the first finger of the left hand, like that. Okay? If I throw it too far, the deck will end up on the floor. Not far enough, it ends up on the floor. Just like that. Now, of course, I'm going to do it at speed, one card at a time. To do that, I have to press against the short ends of the deck, buckling the cards like this. When I do that, I'm going to allow the cards to pop off of this finger, relaxing my grip just enough for the cards to start jumping into the other hand. Now, to practice this, you begin at a short distance, aiming the front end for that finger. It's important to tip the ends slightly towards the hand, otherwise they'll shoot straight off the finger. Begin at a short distance, and over time, practice until you can do it from a shorter distance. You might want to start close, come away, and move in close again, like this. Like that. And again. It's a very simple but very effective flourish. Of all the flourishes I use, this is the one I use the most. This is called the waterfall shuffle and happens immediately after an in-the-hands riffle shuffle. Riffle the cards together, and now from here my thumbs will support the top of the deck as my fingers come around and extend. Before they extend, I have to press my hands together and down, bridging the deck like this. I'm now going to extend my fingers, allowing the deck to cascade. Like that. That buckle is slightly relaxed until the cards start to fall into my hands. Now these fingers are important because if they're too far apart, the entire deck will just fall on the floor. If they're too tight together, the waterfall will be ineffective. You have to be just right to catch the cards between the fingers, at the base of the fingers, not at the fingertips, and complete like that. Now I take the deck and simply replace it in my hand, or continue. Like that. And that's the waterfall shuffle. The fan is one of the most useful sleights you can learn. It aids in the selection of a card and at the right time can look very pretty. To do this, we're going to grasp the deck with the left hand near the base of the deck, here, rather than in the middle or at the front. So at the end closest to me, my thumb rides along the top of the deck, and the long edge near the inner corner is grasped by the first and second fingers of the left hand, like this. This hand will now come across and fan these cards in an arc to the right. The thumb will do all the work. These fingers will support the cards from below, like this, as the fan is made. As I make the fan, these two fingers must straighten out to allow the cards to fan. So watch. From here to here, like this. I'll do it more slowly. From here to here. Notice how these fingers flatten out. These fingers play very little part in it. They're really just supporting the cards. The thumb does all the work as it moves along, flattening out and pressing the cards into a fan. It's really very simple. Just like that. A fan can also be made with one hand. To do this, it's important that you grip the deck correctly with the right hand. Now, you can also do this with a left hand, but I use my right. What happens is I lower my middle two fingers, the second and third finger, and I grip the edges of the deck with my first and fourth finger. So if I place my hand over the deck like this, you see how the edges are gripped near the base by the fourth and first finger, and the lower edge is supported by the second and third fingers. The thumb will go to the base of the deck, near the base of the fingers, at the lower left side. And my thumb is going to move outwards and to the right, like this. As this happens, my fingers will curl in towards the palm. My thumb and my fingers are pressing against the cards, the thumb on the back, the fingers on the faces, like this. As that happens, the cards will be fanned. Like this. And again. Like that. Notice that the little finger moves away from the deck as these curl in, so it doesn't have to maintain contact with the deck. Like that. So it's gripped correctly. The thumb is here. The thumb moves over as the fingers move in to create the fan. It's much easier to perform quickly. Like so. Another fan can be accomplished simply with the thumb. This is very simple. This is very similar to the simple fan. To do this, I grip the deck with the thumb and the first finger, here, near the base. I put my thumb on the edge and I simply sweep around to create a fan. Now you can create very pretty fans with this. This actually makes a trick possible called the diminishing cards, which you'll learn later. Like this. Now Magic Christian from Austria showed me a very simple way to make this look even more elegant. Grip the deck and turn your hand so it's palm upwards. So the thumb goes to the upper left corner here. And it's going to sweep around to create a fan. As this happens, I'm going to turn my hand at the wrist, like this. So I'm going to sweep around while turning my hand at the same time. So from here to here. I'm going to close the fan instantaneously. Okay? So from here to here. And closing the fan simply happens at the very end. My finger is here. I move everything around and square the deck. Like this. And that's the fan.